Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
In the build-up to his fight with Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo Alvarez went on and he went and had an interview. I forget the guy's name. Graham something is the guy's name. It was a very good interview. It was a very telltale interview. Now, he did that in the lead-up to the Billy Joe Saunders fight. He talked about the spot of bother his brother got into before the Rocky Fielding fight. He also talked about his relationship with Oscar De La Hoya, and that he basically said that Richard Schaefer ran Golden Boy. De La Hoya was more into, drinking and partying, and he was not complimentary at all about Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Oscar De La Hoya has released, for whatever reason, I believe it's something on Instagram, or is it tweet or something? It looks more like Instagram. Now, this is what it says here. It says, please, this guy does everything wrong. Now, this actually, I should tell you, it's actually in relation to Canelo. I believe he was teaching a young kid, a couple of moves in the boxing ring, and De La Hoya actually commented on it. It's an Instagram post here, and he says, please, this guy does everything wrong. Head up when he throws hooks, on his heels, flat-footed. What else? He avoids Charlos win. Wow, Jesus. And then Canelo kindly responds, and he's taken, he must be listening to a bit of Frank Warren, because he says, do me a favor and go and, do something to yourself, Begins with an F, insert the other four letters. So, De La Hoya and Canelo, I find that funny that De La Hoya was saying, avoiding the Charlo twins. I mean, Jesus. So, De La Hoya having a go with Canelo Alvarez. At one stage, Oscar De La Hoya Canelo was keeping Golden Boy alive. Like, he literally at one stage was Golden Boy. You couldn't see Canelo without Oscar, and, Oscar De La Hoya was all about Canelo Alvarez. Now he has Ryan Garcia, and Ryan Garcia, even before he fought Luke Campbell, was he's still with Golden Boy, but remember, he was having a couple of moans about Oscar De La Hoya, even back about a year ago or so, between saying, they weren't paying me enough to fight this guy, I wasn't going to fight him, and, just basically saying things about De La Hoya. So you wonder, is Ryan Garcia overly happy with, the situation with Golden Boy? He also has Virgil Ortiz, who is an excellent fighter. But in terms of cash cows, Canelo was his main cash cow. That's gone now. And obviously De La Hoya is showing a bit of bitterness. I mean, he's criticising Canelo, one of the pound for pound, in my opinion, best fighter in the world. And, he's saying that he avoided, the Charlo twins. I don't know if he's referring to both or if he's referring to Jamal Charlo, because Jamal is obviously closer to Canelo in terms of weight. Jamal is still 154 pounds. Look, I wouldn't mind seeing Canelo versus Charlo, but it's not something we've really heard much about. I mean, De La Hoya, when he was with De La Hoya, were they going to do business with Al Heyman? I doubt it. Canelo could do it now, if Charlo moves up to 168 pounds. There's no real benefit for Canelo to take that fight now, if you know what I mean. He wants to get undisputed. He wants to fight Caleb Plant. But if he beats Caleb Plant and fights Caleb Plant next, which we all expect, hey, I'm sure if he had to sign a 2-fight deal with, PBC to get that fight made, I'm sure Canelo wouldn't turn that fight down. It's a good fight. It's a very good fight. I think Charlo, he's not doing himself any favours with this next opponent he's fighting, but he is a good fighter. He fought the Revchenko, fought brilliantly, and I wish he would have pushed on with that. And the guy he's fighting now, I mean, Jesus, look, yeah. But I just find that interesting that Canelo and De La Hoya going back and forth on one another. Obviously, Oscar for two things. Obviously, he's not happy with the fact that Canelo left. That was his main, that's who was keeping Golden Boy afloat. But also the fact that Canelo, it seems for a while, has been, really acrimonious towards De La Hoya. I mean, he was mentioning things as far back as 2015 in that interview was, having issues. So it seems like Canelo was always kind of really, him and Oscar De La Hoya were a bit like a married couple, all good on the cameras, but backstage, handbags are being thrown. Most married couples are like that now, unfortunately. But that seems to kind of be the way it is. So we'll see what Oscar De La Hoya is doing here. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya, I don't know him personally, obviously, but with the way he was commentating on, was it Jake Paul when he fought that MMA guy, and the undercard, I watched Steve Cunningham fight. He did sound a bit all over the place, commentating, and you kind of wonder what's going on with Dela Hoya now. But I guess for me, it just looks like just a bit of bitterness that he's just taking some cheap shots at Canelo, because Canelo was he was his golden boy. It was his golden ticket. It was his grey goose. Now he's got Ryan Garcia, but for how long? He's got Virgil Ortiz, but Virgil Ortiz is a great fighter, but is he a star? Not right now, but who knows in the future. I just found that funny. I found that funny that Dela Hoya, having a go at Canelo. They're bringing up the Charlo twins. I mean, based off of what? Like, literally based off of what? Like, you're the promoter. Like, I mean, Canelo, I'm sure Canelo's fought. His resume speaks for itself. Has he ever tried to avoid the Charlo twins? I seriously doubt that. And I'm sure if they had a piece of the super middleweight world title, because Canelo's not going back down to middleweight, I'm sure he'd fight them. He's trying to be undisputed at that weight. I mean, the man's fought Sergey Kovalev at light heavyweight. Yes, it faded Sergey Kovalev, but still, light heavyweight ain't his natural division. So Canelo ain't running. If he did, I'd obviously say it, but from what I've seen, I ain't seen him try and avoid anyone. Or certainly not the Charlos anyway. There was a time in his career, back in 2016, where he was avoiding Triple G. He really held out until he saw some chinks in Triple G's armour after the Jacobs fight. And then he was happy to go and take that fight. I'll admit that. But for the most part, Canelo's been, as I said, the resume speaks volume for itself. So that's my thoughts on that. I just find that funny. I said I'd just make a video on it. Something to talk about, yourself. I want to keep these videos going. I try and do daily. It's not the easiest, but we try and get daily videos. I don't want to start rambling now. That's the thing. The rambling's for the live streams. So I'll leave that here. Lads and lassies, for now, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could smash the like button on the way in, helps your boy out, helps the channel grow. I'm trying to get this to 5k. We are getting closer and closer. It is crazy. Hopefully by midsummer we could have the big 5k, because that's halfway to 10k. But big up to everyone who's watching the video, subscribing, of course. Shout out to all yous. Hashtag GMansRocks, all that good stuff. For now, lads and lassies, happy Thursday. Hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you. Peace.